Yeah, so the next thing you can do is add geographic info in the header and the footer, and also on any location pages that you have. So we've got tagline style geographic info. So like an example might be if you've got if you're an orthopedic a sport orthopedic practice with 10 locations in the New England area, for instance, you would want to include for each individual practice, you would want to have a location page, right, Michael? So you would, and on the title of that page, you would want to include that geographic information as well as your address, including your city, state, and zip.
Because those are all really good keywords. Those local names.
Exactly, and that's what people will be searching for. And also in the footer, and I know you do this a lot, Michael. In the footer of that, so you might have one website that rolls all of your practice up into one brand. In the footer, it's very helpful to have a list of your locations in the footer that have those keywords that point back to those location pages.
Yeah.
And that's another signal to Google, like this is one brand, and all of these locations are connected to this brand, and each location has its own page with those location indicators, keywords, address, phone number. So that's all information in much the same way as the Google My Business listing. If you have GMBs for each location, that's all information that feeds back to Google. Like this is the service area. This is geographically where these practices are located. And when someone does a search, everything in Google is contextual to the searcher, right? So when someone does a search for that service or similar services near that area, it's going to be a signal to Google that this business is more relevant, right?
Yeah.
And you only get that if you add it in Google My Business profiles and you get the location pages going, and you give those signals back to Google that this is where we are. So location pages and geographic info in the header and footer, very important.
Yeah.
Michael?
Yeah, I'll add a couple of comments to that. I really like a mix of different formats. I think of it like there's a sort of character on stage, and you've got different spotlights hitting that character from different angles. And so this is how I think of the header and the footer and the page content all working together to get all facets of the local identification information. So I'll use another example here, providing healthcare IT services for Nashville and Middle Tennessee. So here we don't say, on CNN sometimes I might hear something like Central Tennessee. Nobody from Tennessee says
it's Middle Tennessee.
Central Tennessee. We say, and this is my little speech, we say Middle Tennessee because the state is cut into three sections by a river. It's a geographic region that is geological. And so the way that's kind of developed is we have 3 stars on the flag. We don't say Western Tennessee like they do on CNN when there's a tornado. We say West Tennessee, and we say East Tennessee, where you're from. That's where we're from. East Tennessee, West Tennessee.
Yeah.
And now we're sitting here
Tennessee.
We're sitting here in Middle Tennessee. We're not in
here.
Yeah, we're not in Central Tennessee. There is no Central Tennessee.
That's not a thing.
So if you use your header to get this basic statement of a city name or the big name for the region, like New England or Middle Tennessee, these would be big regional identifiers. Another one
And
is
they're
the
only
Tennessee.
valuable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
I was sorry to interrupt. I was like, they're only valuable because that's how people know them.
That's
and
what
search
people are
for them.
typing in.
Yeah.
People are typing in stuff like Ortho Clinic Nashville, Ortho Clinic Middle Tennessee, or construction, commercial construction GC Middle Tennessee. They want to know who's serving these big areas. So when you use that in the header, you're kind of making this big connection, and make sure that it's not locked up in an image. Use it as text, either below your logo in the top left or somewhere where it can actually be HTML, so that those keywords are getting locked in with search engines and they're indexable. If it's just in the body of an image as like the image of text, that's not the same as text to a search engine. A search engine's not really reading your images in that way. And then the footer, Chris mentioned this, but like you can kind of do the whole laundry list of identifiers there. And I really like what you said, have those localization pages. And so we'll often do like a block in the footer that's kind of that laundry list, and we'll link to those localization pages, and then we'll link those localization pages back to an areas served page, and that gives that good interlinking between those two, which associates all those keywords with those target pages. So yeah, I think that's a really good one.